Hi and welcome to this a little bit different and very special episode of my collection series. Now, one thing I get asked a lot is, or not only asked, but a lot of people are really impressed by my collection of figures and everything I got. And to be honest, I don't think that my collection is really that impressive. I still think it's a very small collection compared to some really big ones I have seen. But yeah, it's I'm always happy to hear that people are really like what I'm doing, and when they see it, they like I said, they're impressed by what they see. And one thing I always get in combination to that is that people want some kind of tips, or if I can give them some kind of guide how to start a collection, what to look out, and yeah, overall, if there are some tips I can just give them how to maintain this or their collections. And yeah, I did something similar some months ago as a special German video, or the only German video I did. And I thought after I started my collecting video and some other people asked me, I do a new one, and a little bit different this time, and yeah, just talk a little bit about collecting stuff. Now, one thing I should mention is, before I start going a little bit deeper into it, I'm not a professional collector. Now, this sounds a little bit strange if you see some of the things I will show you, but I never really intended to do that. I really just collect stuff I really enjoy, and I'm not there to really put it out there, to say it least, because most professional collectors I have, or I know, they really do it to use it also a little bit as a marketing stunt, and this is something I don't want. I really just collect the way I like it, and what I see, like I said, what I like, when I see something that I like, I will get it, but I'm not there that I say I only collect specific things. Now, there are series I collect, I will look out for, but I'm not getting everything from that. So yeah, just to get that out. And many of the things I'm talking about today are things I just found out for myself, because I never went to ask people about collecting. Sometimes I went on different kind of forums to get one or to find something out, and if you read them, one or another tip you will find out, but yeah, most of the things is you get the feeling. Let's say it this way, I can give you some hints, but most of the things you will have to find out on your own, because every collection is different. Even if you're collecting the same type of stuff than someone else, every collection is very unique, and the way you want to show it, you want to collect it, is just for your own. You're your very own unique collector, and so you can give pointers, but you can't say this is the only way to do it. And you will see what I mean when I come to the second part of this video, because the first part, like I said, I will give just some clues, some hints, some ways what you can look out for, and in the second part I will talk a little bit about my own collection and how it began, or how I began to collect, and how I ended up with what I collect. Because experience is that always when you say you want to collect something, you start collecting something, but you end with something absolutely different. And this is something that happened with me and a lot of people I know. They start with something small, but but the collection they got at the end 100% has nothing to do with what they started out. So yeah, where should we begin? The first thing, like I said at the beginning, most people who have seen my collection started asking, and the thing is, my old apartment, I put my whole collection in the open. Meaning the first thing you saw when you entered the room was my collection. Many people called it a museum because there was nothing than all my figures, posters and everything. And just to show you, because like I said, this apartment doesn't exist anymore. 2 years ago I had to move for different reasons, for work related reasons. And so the only thing that at the moment only exists of my collection are some parts you can see in my videos, and most of it is just stuffed in the room. But just to give you an idea what I mean, this was my TV corner in my old room, and yeah, you can see it. 3 display cases, the whole wall with different kind of posters and prints. And this was the entrance. So just it's the same room, just photographed from a different angle. And yeah, you can see there are a lot of display cases and a lot of things on the wall. Some things you don't see. And even these pictures were already old when I took them, because or after that the part of the room changed. There was at the end there was a lot more than you can see it in this in these photos. Yeah, and this brings me to the first part. When you start collecting, some people don't like to show that, or don't want to say they collect something, and just put it somewhere in the cupboard or something. But for me, I would say never be afraid or ashamed of your collection. This sounds a little bit strange, because many people think, yeah, but what if someone thinks about says that they have different kind of views on the things I collect. Now I can give you one hint, and this is experience, because I had the same problem at first. When I started collecting, or when my whole collection went to more these Japanese culture figures, meaning characters from anime, manga, and so on, I was in the same position, because let's face it, this is something many people, when they hear that, when they think about it, they think more about the porno hentai ones, and they think, oh yeah, if you have female characters in there standing in there, then you're someone who, yeah, you know where I want to go with this one. And I talked a little bit about this in my last video about the psychic figure from Seventh Dragon 2020. But yeah, never fear your collection, because the same people you think, or if you talk with people and they say something like this, the same people will be the first who are speechless when they see your collection. Now, what do I mean with this one? You have seen my room, and many people went in and out there. You have a lot of people who just maintain the building, or they had to check the everything. If you have problems with your water or something, they had to go in this room. So you have a lot of different kind of people coming in and out, and some of them were. They didn't want to go in there, not because they hated what they saw, but they were afraid to destroy something in there. Some really moved very, very carefully through there, and there was enough space. You could walk through there, but they were so surprised to see this kind of thing. And many of them, and that's the part where I say, you could think when they don't want to go in there that this is something they really, really don't want to see, or they just thought that's hell. No, many of them came back. They asked me if it's okay, if they can show this to someone else, if they can bring someone else in there. It was, at the end, it was some kind of museum, and this is what I mean. You don't need a whole room to create it like this. But if you have something, if you have a small collection, it doesn't matter what it is. Put it in the open. Be proud of it, what you're collecting, and you will see this is something that goes very, very different ways than you might think. Even another great example, if this is something many people might also think about. Many people who collect stamps. I know stamps is a very, for many people, a very boring collectible, like or let's say coins. But believe me, I'm one of the last people who would say I tried to collect stamps and coins, and I never really got into it. But I know many people who do that, and they have shelves in their houses, not big ones or small display cases, where they put some of their collectible coins or stamps in there on small trays or something, and it looks amazing. It's really fantastic, and I'm really happy to see these things. Even this is what I mean. Even if I don't like something in the whole, doesn't mean I can. I really can like it if it's in the open, or I at least I can understand if someone really loves collecting this. So yeah, if you have something you really love collecting, if something you really like, show it in the open. Like I said, you don't need to create a whole room of it, but yeah, share it with people who come in there. You don't need to put their faces on it. That's the next part. Never shove it into the face of someone, because this is something then it looks like you're just trying to get attention for it, and many people who do that don't really enjoy their collection. It's just something to start a conversation in so many ways. So yeah, try to not to do that. It's very, how to put it, it's the last it's an extreme measure. No, like I said, people who do that, they are, I have problems with them. Mostly they are not there. They are really just people who, like I said, are out of for attention and just want to be seen as something special, and that's bullshit. That's absolutely bullshit. Don't do it. Be proud of your collection, but don't shove it in other faces. If you do that, you aren't a collector. You're, like I said, you just put something into your shelf and want to be seen as something or as someone, but you're not a collector. A collector never shoves something in the faces of others. He's proud of his collection. He isn't afraid of his collection. He sees his collection. He loves what he sees, and he's always loves to see the reaction of other people, but not in the way that he wants people to see it in so many ways. If you know what I mean, it's a little bit hard to explain, but if you put it in your room, someone sees it, they will start a conversation, but it's always bad if you draw the attention to something. It happens sooner or later that someone asks you to show them, then you can do it, but not go there and say, oh, did you see my collection? It's yeah, it's, I don't know, it's not the right way. So yeah, again, this is something, like I said, it's something you should be always proud about your collection. The next part, and this is something that didn't occur to me, but I know many people have this problem, and I know someone specific who isn't a collector and has this problem. If you're living with someone else, now I was a single, and now I'm living with with many people together in one house, and now it also is something that I have to deal with. So in many cases I know now what I'm talking about, but in the past I saw it with someone. If you're living with someone, always talk with them about your collection. Now this is, if you think this means you have to talk with them always about your collection, this is not what I mean. I mean, if you want to show your collection or want to put some of your collection up there somewhere in your room, in the house, always talk with the people who are there, because some people have no problems with that, some people love what you're doing, but some people say they don't mind it, but they don't want it everywhere. So always talk with them. What this means, my friend is living with his wife, and they have a very big apartment in my eyes, but there only is one room where he has put all of his collectibles, meaning there are some places where small figures or something is standing, but most of his collection is in one room, because even if his wife accepts that he's collecting this, she doesn't want it in the whole house. So yeah, this is something you really should you really should be clear before you're putting up your collection, or before you try to convince someone you're living with. Now, my arrangement is here. The most part you see is what I got in my bag, but this whole this whole shelf I got behind me. Now, up here I have some of my comic books and mangas, and also on the other side. These shelves aren't big. On the other side is a collection of my mother, to be honest, and this is the same, nearly the same shelf size than my comics, but only cookbooks, and also on the other side of the room. And directly beside me are also not my collections, but also other collections like teapots and everything. So yeah, you should talk with the people you live with, what you can put up, because not everyone likes it. Now, I was allowed to put two display cases there, but yeah, we have a room where everyone has some parts of his collection, and the rest of the house, everyone has its own personal space where he can do what he wants. My problem is, and this brings us to a problem with figures, or these PVC figures. I have a room under the roof, and it's a very big problem if it's summer. It's getting absolutely incredible hot out there, up there, and PVC has the tendency to start bending if it's get too hot. And this is something I will come back to in a minute, because this helps also in some cases. But yeah, I can't put them up. I can't let them in the cases, because they will start sweating. They will start molding if I let them in their boxes. But also that the problem is that if I have something like, I will show you what I mean. Just one figure. If you have something like this figure that's just standing on a small peg here, and this part gets hot, if there's no metal in there, the figure will just bend over after some time, and this is something that's not very great to have. So yeah, it's also something you should realize. You have to get a right placing to put them, and yeah, I can't let 24/7 my AC on up there. It's also not possible, because if you leave the house or something, you can't leave it working all the day. So yeah, there's the second part I just give you on the way. Never just put your collection up if you're living with someone. Always talk with them. Always talk with them what you can put up from your collection, so that you're not just start putting everything. I mean, if you're living with someone who likes your porn magazines, no problem. But if it's someone who doesn't like it, don't do it. That's just something I have to say with this one. I know these things are normally very clear, but it just part of this whole experience. Yeah, now let's come to the part where it's a little bit more fun in this case. One thing I should mention, I will talk mostly about collecting figures, because this is what I do. But you can use some of the things also for some other points. But mostly what I'm coming up with now, I will talk just from the perspective of a figure collector. And so yeah, just keep that in mind. One thing you should, when you start collecting, think about how much space you have, because this was the first big problem that occurred to me. I started with small figures, and this was something. When I say small, I mean something in this size. So this is something you could put in a shelf or everything, and yeah, after a while it went bigger and bigger, meaning I went to something like this, to something like, oh my god, if I can get her, to something like this, or if you've watched my collecting videos, you know the biggest figures I have in my collection. Now, this can get or become a big problem for many things. First, the placing, because the bigger the figures get, the more space you need, and if you only have a small apartment or something, you will get problems with it. So I would say, if you start collecting, concentrate on something that you can put on your shelf and you have no space problems. That doesn't mean you can't buy one or big figures from time to time, but if you start going to the 1/7 inch kind of figures and only have a small cupboard where you can stand them, then after 10 or 12 figures, everything is full and you don't know where to put it. So yeah, always find a way. Check out if you have the space, because this is something I will show you now. Because when I said I got everything under in my apartment, I have not that much space here, and this means that my whole collection is just sitting in a room, and it's waiting in their boxes to be used sometime again. I've tried to rotate, but yeah, it doesn't work that well in so many ways. So yeah, keep that in mind if you start collecting. Try to find find out how much space you have, because this is what happens to me now, and I will show you what I mean in a few minutes. I started with small figures, went to big ones, and went back to small ones, and mostly small ones and drawings. In so many ways, digital prints or something like that, because that's a little bit easier and not that how to put it, space wasting. Yeah, keep that in mind. Now, when you start collecting, something I said a few minutes ago, I know I'm jumping a little bit, but yeah, I want to get some things out. If you have a shelf, then it's not a big deal. But sometimes you want to get it to show your figures in display cases. And now this is something also. This was something I accidentally found out. I was checking for a cheap display case, because if you look, or if you check out display cases in some of the stores, you see that the prices are extremely high. And I thought, yeah, I wanted one that can take some figures, that I can use lighting in it, but I didn't want to pay 400-500 euro for something like that. And yeah, here I found something out. When I once went to IKEA, yeah, I admit it. I like going there, because some of the things you can get there, some of the shelves and so on, or tables, they aren't that bad. I'm not talking about what's going on behind the scenes. I'm just talking about what you can get, and some of the things you can get aren't really that bad. And there I found out, or there I saw one display case called the Detolf. This is this one, and you can see it's not that expensive. $59. It's nearly the same price for us here. I think 55 euro. Haven't checked it out. And this display case is mostly just glass and a small metal frame inside. And there is a small hole up front and a very practical door in it. And yeah, I checked this one out, and I really liked it. I bought two, and the second part I bought is the lighting, because the big thing you can do with it is you can put some thin LED stripes or something like that in there, and the cables you can just swirl around the whole inner part, and you won't see it, but you can get really a lot of lighting in there, and the whole cables just go outside at top. Now the problem is you have to get the cable down again, but it's not that problematic. If you have some, if you put something around the cable, you can really get it out of sight. Yeah, and I really was happy. And after going through some forums about some other things, you will find out a lot of people have these display cases. I think they're one of the most sought after display cases for collectors in many ways. I'm not just talking about collecting figures, even coin collectors, even car collectors, train collectors, they use these cases. I even in my new job I see a lot of companies using them, and if you need I have to say, a really good display case for not on the cheap, this is where to go. And believe me, also the other ones they are really not that bad. But this one is it's mostly just glass. You can put them side by side. You can do so much things with them. They're absolutely fantastic for this. And I can just go back to my first part. You can see them left and right of the TV. Under the TV is another one, but yeah, this whole they really look good. And if you look closely, you can see that I put the LED strips directly above and in the middle. You can see the lighting effects of them, and they really look great. And you don't see the cables. Like I said, it's a very good way to show your collection. It doesn't depend on what you got. You can show it with everything. They really work great. So yeah, if you need one, check out IKEA. I'm not burst about it, and this is not an ad. It's just really they got, in my opinion, the best one for if you're searching for something really not that expensive. They're really good, believe me. I think the oldest one I have is now nearly 10 years old. Just to get that out, and it survived 4 moves. Just saying. So yeah, great thing. So to use them. Now there comes something to a special part about figures if you unpackage them. If you this is something specific just for the PVC ones. So if you're collecting something else, this might not interest you that much. But a problem you will that will occur when you're collecting these kind of figures is that I said at the beginning, when they get too warm, they tend to warp and bend, and this is something many people have problems with, and I will say this was also something I had problems with when I began with it, because I had no idea how to get this done. Because if you start bending them, some of these parts break, especially the small parts. They tend to break very easily. And I had no clue what to do. And after going through, this is something I really one of the few tips I really got from a forum. Warm water helps. If you submit the parts in warm water, you get them a little bit more firm, and you can bend them a little bit, not too extreme, but it helps if you just have small bends in them, and also some parts that might not fit together now fit together. It's really a good tip, and it's a cheap tip to work with. Definitely try it out. It's really have I something to show you in this case? Sadly no. Yeah, but try it out. It's really good. Also, one tip I can give you, and this is something if you bought a shelf. Now some figures aren't that problematic, because if you have a big figure you put it behind, if you have smaller figures you put them up front. But sometimes what happens if you have the same height, the figures have the same height. Now there are parts or things you can buy, they are called a riser or razor, I think riser is this, and normally it's just a small plastic table you can get, and these things are expensive as hell, in my opinion. I think sometimes you can get them for $1, but mostly you get one for $2.50, $3, $4. They are, I'm sorry, they are just too expensive for the things you can do. And there's also a small tip I can give you, and this is something I hadn't thought about first, but after seeing something in the kitchen or in the supermarket, I thought maybe this works. And it worked. What I'm talking about, if you're going to the supermarket and just look in the cooling shelves, you will see that sometimes you get these small salads or yogurts in these transparent cups. Use the transparent cups. They have the ideal shape for this. They are great from the height. You can just put them under water for some time. Just put everything that's stuck on their labels from it. Wash them out. They work fantastic for this. They are cheap. Many people just throw them away. Just take them. Not everyone will work. Just get that out. You have to experiment a little bit, but they are cheap. If you know someone who always buys the same salad, same yogurt or something, just ask them. Just ask them if they, before they throw it out, if they can give it to you. Believe me, cheaper. You can't get cheaper on them. Sometimes it looks a little bit. Have I something like that here? Let's check it out. Not here. Well, let's see if sometimes I have something lying around here, and I can show you what I mean. One moment, because I found one. I have some in my display case. Yes, just use something like this. It looks neutral, and if you don't believe me, this is one I didn't put the sticker off. You can see it's still the nutrition fact. I don't know what was this. A carrot salad. And you just can put every figure just works. You can just put them on there. And this rises everything. So they really work great. Believe it or not, it's the cheapest way to get rises. But I know some people think but the original, if you buy them, they look better. Yes, of course. But let's put it this way: if you have another figure in front of this, do you really see this thing? Just putting it out there. And also, again, I will come back to my first picture, and again, if you look closely, you can see some of the rises. I put the figures on there. They're really hard to see. Here you can see it in this part. The two figures behind are standing on these. Just rest my case in this case. They work great. So you can use them for everything else, of course, but this is just something that really works out. So I think this is everything. The only thing I could also give you on the way is cleaning your figures, because this is also something many people struggle a little bit about and get some problems, because there's no way to avoid dust on them. And one thing I should mention, the display cases, I just said, they have a small opening, because the glasses on the side and the back, they have a small they have some, the connector is very, very tight, so the only way you can get dust in is from the door, and that's also very, very small, just a very small opening in there. The first thing I will say, if you fear dust, don't close this opening. I know people who had molding problems after that, and it's clear. But you don't get too much dust in there, and even if they are standing in the main passage of your apartment or your house, don't fear it too much. But at some time you have to clean them, and some put them in a water bath. I don't like it, because you have to wait until it's dry again. I like to using a compressor or a small can of compressed air. But if you use compressed air, you don't hold it directly in front, because you get this ice on your figure. A little bit more, stay a little bit more back, and normally you should be okay with that. Also, if you use a compressor, just a little bit, don't put it too high, just a little bit more, and just to small bursts, not the overall burst, because figures with very, very fine details, they can become problems with that. So, yeah. This is mostly everything I can tell you, because if you don't have them in an open shelf, nothing really big happens. If you have an open shelf, you have to clean them a lot more often in so many ways. But yeah, that's everything to it. I have to say, or the main parts. Like I said, most of the things you will find out for yourself. I think most of the things. I maybe have forgotten. I don't think too much about it, but yeah, I hope this small these small tips will help you if you start collecting. And yeah, like I said, don't fear your collection, love it. Yeah. Find a space where personally you can see your figures, and if you're looking at your figures and you feel happy, then that's the right place. It's definitely the right place, and it's the right collection you have. And yeah, I really hope this is something you will continue. And I really don't know what to say, or what more to say about it. Again, I hope you enjoyed the small personal guide to collecting. And yeah, after the credits, I will talk a little bit more about my collection. So, for all the people who were just interested in this part, thanks for watching, and see you next episode. Bye. And we are back. Now, the people who... I'm really happy if people are interested in my personal history of collecting. Yeah, so how did I start collecting? To be honest, I really started collecting with different kinds of things. Mostly my parents were away a lot of time over all of the world, and every time they went somewhere, they brought something, beginning from keychains to just some old medals and something like that. And so I really was put in collecting very early, but there wasn't something I really... Like I said in the beginning, nothing I really deeply enjoyed. I liked looking at these things, but they weren't something I would start really. I wanted to collect. I liked to see them, but never had the feeling if this is something I want to continue. Okay, I was a little bit younger at these points, but even after some years, I tried collecting stamps. I tried collecting. Coins, so many different things I started collecting, but nothing really sticked with me. This was until two things happened. I started playing a little bit more computer games, and I was beginning playing card games, and now I'm just saying playing cards. I did a small episode where I showed a little bit about playing cards, so you know what I mean. And yeah, so when I started with computer gaming, I started buying my games at some point, and at some point I found out about collector's editions. Like I said, I just went in a store, I just bought a game when I wanted it, but at some point I found out about collector's editions, and I started with small ones. I saw, and meaning the first things I really started collecting were something like posters or these cloth maps. because I really enjoyed them. I loved seeing these when I played a specific game. We had here Britannia, so meaning Ultima was this one. I really enjoyed this, having this beside my monitor and looking on it, and posters again when there were maps or something. I really enjoyed looking at them, or when they were very helpful in so many ways. And yeah, card games, the same. I really enjoyed. I just take one of the examples I already showed. Yeah, I enjoyed when they were a little bit different. They had different motives on them. I really enjoyed this. And so yeah, I really started collecting, or trying to get as much as possible. So yeah, when I bought games, I bought collector's editions, and when I saw some specific card games I enjoyed the motives, I bought these. And so it began for me, and at some point I've started collecting collector's editions where you found small figures in them. Second time I've thrown. So what we have here are, oh god, to be honest, these two were from the game Prey. Then this one was from, I think, it's 2002. This was from Morrowind. It's written under there, from 2002. And this one, I have no clue. It's 2000. Okay, I have no clue where this one is, but it was also from a game. So yeah, I started collecting these because I liked, like the same, like I said about the cloth maps or something. I really enjoyed them, having them standing there on my shelf or directly above my computer monitor, and looking at them. I really enjoyed this. It was just fun. I know many people made fun of me, saying, "Yeah, nerd," and so on, but yeah, I really enjoyed this. And yeah, at some point this went on and on, because the more collector's editions I found, the bigger one, I tried to get the bigger ones. So meaning, you started with getting something like bobbleheads, like this from Fallout 3. I just took some of my collection, so this is not a really specific look at or which one was the earliest ones. And this was also one I really was kind of disappointed because the paint was smeared. Or something like the Big Daddy of BioShock. I still am happy that I got one that wasn't broken in the package, because people who remember, there was the problem that the drill was broken. And this was also one I really enjoyed because it's really heavy in so many ways. And yeah, it brings us to something like this was one of the earliest figures of Kotobukiya I got from the Batman game. Again, I really enjoy this one for different reasons. Or something like, again, BioShock, the Songbird. To be honest, I like the figures from BioShock, but I hate BioShock. All the games there are absolutely garbage in my eyes. Sorry at all the fans out there, but I don't enjoy them. And yeah, this went on. So at some point I went, some years ago, I normally just collected the figures of games, until I saw the Metal Gear Rex from AAA. This is where all began, and my museum started taking shape. Yeah, one day I think this was on Game Trailers, I saw news, I saw some news about this massive big figure, and it was expensive as hell for me, because mostly I didn't pay that much for the collector's editions, but this beast I think was over $400, and I knew I wanted this one. I knew this one was big. I will leave the link to my look, or my special video I did about it here, because I wouldn't get it in frame. This thing is massive. And I had to get it, so I ordered it. This was something you had to pre-order and prepay it, and it was nearly a year before it was released. And this was when I got onto different kinds of collecting sites. And this is where I started collecting the figures I'm collecting now. Good Smile Company, Max Factory, and Figma, and Revoltech, and what I have in my collection. Yes, this is where, like I said, where it all started, and I bought. I thought, yeah, but let's check out if there are some figures I enjoy from my, or if there are character figures or figures from characters I enjoy, and I was searching for a figure of Holo from Spice and Wolf, and yeah, I found one and bought one. And yeah, after that I checked the news sites for collectibles, and now I have over, I think, not over, nearly 200 figures in my collection. Yes, meaning, like I said, I have a lot of them. Starting like something. This is not this is the second Holo I bought, but yeah, something like these. I really love the a little bit smaller ones, let's put it this way. Yeah, I like this. I think this is also one of the more expensive ones I got in my collection, or like the ones I already showed you in the first part. Yeah, these are the kind of figures I started collecting, the big ones, and this is, like I said, the ones I really love seeing, but are really taking a lot of shelf space. And also like I just shortly showed you this absolute amazing one of Belldandy and Holy Bell. People who know these figures or these characters know where they are coming from. I just want to show them to you. It's not like that. I will talk about them a little bit more in my series when I come to them, but yeah, these were the big ones I started, and at some point I saw that this wasn't going well, and yeah, I started concentrating on the smaller ones, like I said, the Figma ones or Revoltech ones, because at some point I was also I wanted to see them again. Like I said, with the small figures, I wanted to see them again on my shelf, on my monitor when I played games. And so I really started liking when I bought my first Figma ones. This was from a collector's edition. And what I really enjoy about them are the possibilities, the posabilities in so far. And that they come in small boxes that you can store in small spaces, and also many spare parts, so you can not only pose them in every way you like, but also store them very easily. Meaning, where do I have it? They just come in these small boxes. You can see what's in there. We have the idea how they are, how the posability works, what you can do with them, and yeah, you can put them relatively easily on a shelf or somewhere in the cupboard. They with all the extra bits in there, it's very easy. And there are different kinds. You know, these are Figma ones. Revoltech has someone. I can show you one. This is, I hope you can see them, a Tachikoma of Ghost in the Shell, the series. These were a really fun one. I have two of them. They also have a small motor, a pullback motor you can put under them and let them drive. But again, I really love the way you can pose them, and it's very I really love these things. Not much space they really use, and you can do a lot with these. Also, yes, I will admit I don't collect all of them like some people I know, but I also enjoy some of the amiibo figures. Some really look good. Not all of them. I'm honest. I don't know what the craze is all about them, but yeah, there are a lot I really enjoy. Or just some other ones I got from small collector boxes like this one. And I know this figure will get a lot of attention, or this character will get a lot of more attention next week, but I won't spoil it for now. So yeah, this is what I really enjoy. And also I will admit I also enjoy the more chibi like ones. There's something I can show you. when I get to it. I think some people already have seen this one, but this is something I really absolutely love, and I just don't want to open it for so many reasons. This was the 20th anniversary of the Dengeki Runs figures, or the ASCII Media Works 20, and yeah, I also like collecting these. It's really sad that you can't see them really. But yeah, this is also something I really like. I really started loving collecting these small figurines. You have a lot more possibilities to store them, and I know this is what most people go for when they start collecting figures. And you know what? These are, in my eyes, the best ways to start a figure collection, because you can have a lot of them, you can have a lot of characters, you don't need that much space, and even in small apartments you have a lot of possibilities. You can use small shelves just on the walls where you like them. You can use a display case for them, but you can put a lot of them in these small cases or these big cases, and yeah, it's in the way that you have the way with the possibility. Sorry for that. I always slip up with this. Yeah, you have a lot of possibilities to change them. So if you like more, let's say, action-oriented month, you can post them in action poses. If you just want more, a more quiet version, you can have them standing around, very simple. Yeah, it's a lot of fun just posing them in different ways, and that's why I always, when someone really asks me if there's a series I would recommend, then I would say check them out. They are really the best way to start a figure collection, but only start if you like the figures and if you like the designs. Because for me, normally I only collect figures from characters I absolutely love. That's why some of my characters, like Hobo or Castor, I have a lot of them. Even Saber from the Fate series, I have a lot of them. But yeah, I really enjoy these characters. And or I have some figures I will show you. I have even like I said it already, I have even some figures from the more mature series that how to put it, you can put everything from the figure, but I like the figures like they are and not for this one feature, and they really look fantastic. I will do one or two of them. I don't have a lot of them, so just but they really look fantastic. Especially I have to admit, I really love the Seven Deadly Sins series, not the anime and manga, you know. There was a specific one for, like I said, a more mature series, and they really look great. But they're, again, the big figures. So yeah, this was the biggest part I collect. But like I said, I went more to the smaller ones, and also I went more for, let's put it. I started collecting more of pins also, and also went more with drawings and prints and everything, because this is something you can collect very easy, because even if you don't hang them somewhere, you can store them very easily. And what I mean with that, you can see my whole collection of prints and posters just up above me in the shelf. I have a lot of them in the meantime. So yeah, just a small sidestep from how I started collecting, and I hope you enjoyed this small extra part of the collecting video. And yeah, next time we are going back to the normal figures, and a very special one, the last one of the 7th Dragon 2020 series I have. also this will be a character special, and if you haven't guessed it or didn't know, it has to do with this small figure, or with this character specific. And I know a lot of people will hate me for what I say, but I will say it up front, I really enjoy this. So thanks for watching, and see you next time. Bye.